What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. Today we're going to do our Anaheim Ducks season preview and what's in store for fans in Orange County in 2012-2013, whenever the season happens to start. Obviously, I picked them 5th in the Pacific Division. I think there's too many question marks to give grade them any higher. I think goaltending has Jonas Hiller recovered from his vertigo from 2 years ago. He really wasn't the same player last year. Will they trade Bobby Ryan? Will Ryan Getzlaf return? I think he's the most important player in that team because of the way he creates for other players and can create for himself. He's one of the best playmakers in the game. He's also 6'4" power forward with a NBA floor as wingspan. So something to look at. But without further ado, here are our lines. Provided they don't trade him, Bobby Ryan's on the right with Getzlaf and Perry. That's as basic a line as you can get. Corey Perry led the league in goal scoring 2 years ago, fell off in production last year. I think a lot of that was due to Getzlaf's inability to be consistent last year. I think he was, as goes Getzlaf, as goes that team. I think he's definitely the most important player. He's a straw that stirs that drink, at least in the forward core anyway. And they can't expect to have success without him being a big part of it. And I think that's something you got to look at going forward. Second line. Veteran Finns are joined by California native Emerson Edom as we get Edom, Koivu, and Teemu Selanne. Emerson Edom scored 61 goals last year in the Western Hockey League and was one of the elite goal scorers outside the NHL. He's a Long Beach, California native and will be, I believe, the first Cali native ever to play for the Ducks, so there's something there. I think his speed, offensive prowess are too much to keep him out of the top 6. I think he's warranted a spot, and I think he will impress in camp. He's one of the most elite young American players in recent years, even though he didn't show up in either of the last 2 World Juniors. I like his game, but I was disappointed in his play in the last 2 WJCs, but I think he'll be an impact player for the Ducks, and he could challenge for the Calder next year. I think he'll be a top 6, at least 12 in the year, with obviously the Angels of Wonder, Teemu Selanne, and fellow Finn, Saku Koivu, forming a pretty formidable second line if the Father Time refuses to catch up with Teemu. Third line, Smith-Pelley with Nick Bonino and Cal Palmieri. That's a pretty basic third line. Some youth there with Smith-Pelley and Palmieri. And Bonino's a young guy himself, former BU Terrier, national champion at BU. And those three will be there'll be some depth and some two-way play. And I think Palmieri's another guy who's lit up the minors. He was a first-round pick back in 2009. Played the 1 year at Notre Dame. That was up playing pro hockey at 19. So you know what to expect out of him. He's played against men for the last 2 full seasons. So he's another guy that he won gold at the WJC with USA not too long ago. So there's another guy that's going to be counted upon for increased production. Cal Palmieri and Nick Bonino. I've been a fan of his since the BU days. And Smith-Pelley, guy knows the nuances of playing sound 2-way hockey at a young age, which is something you don't see too often in young players. So there's something to look forward to. Then the basic line, the fourth line, Matt Beleskey, McMillan, and Andrew Cogliano. Cogliano is one of the speed demons, and I think he'll definitely play an impact role in the penalty kill next year for sure. And you look at even he can grow in the top 6 squad. I still want to throw him, cast him aside. Has a wasted talent. Obviously showed a lot of flashes at Michigan with the Oilers his rookie year and hasn't been the same player since. But speed kills, and you got speed, you can wheel. You're gonna get close to that level. So that's something to look for. And solid forward core. Defense, got Boschman and Cam Fowler, basic pairing. Former Cup champ with the Ducks. Gonna stop over Toronto with Boschman, and Fowler's obviously an elite young American defenseman. Needs to improve his game defensively. If he wants to become a great number 1 defenseman in the league, he needs to become better in his own zone. The whole defense part of defense is something he's got to look into. But he's a player that I'm not worried about. I think he's going to continue to take steps forward after a tough sophomore year and really become a power play quarterback that he was projected to be when he went in the first round off the Windsor Spitfires. Then Spiza and Brian Allen. Spiza's one of the young guys they acquired in the Chris Pronger trade 3 years ago. And he was a first-round pick back in 2008 by Philly. So he's still only 22. He's still got room to grow and turn into an impact player. And he'll be fine. A veteran like Brian Allen next to him is perfect. He can definitely show him the ropes defensively more so than that some of the other guys can. And I mean, Allen was a pretty good offseason acquisition for what you got. He is what he is. Then your third pairing, other offseason acquisition, Sheldon Sorey and Tony Lidman, whatever his name is, however you pronounce it. Allen and Sorey are pretty good defensemen for the depth department. Sorey can unload from the point. I look for him and Fowler to be on the power play together. And they were never really in on Ryan Suter, but these guys are decent. That can help you out. Like I said, not light it up, but do their role, and that's what you need. And it's a pretty solid lineup. And then goaltending, we got Jonas Hiller, and then Victor Fast, Spanish guy, 30 years old. They just signed. Hiller can be healthy. They can compete for a playoff spot. Pretty basic. Like I said, this is really a question mark team. I picked them fifth because there's just too many question marks. If they can all come together and all the moving parts really fall into place, they can definitely compete for a playoff spot. I would not count them out. Pacific Division's tough, but they've shown they can compete in that division with this core nucleus before. 2 years ago they were in the playoffs, so it has to be 2011, so a year and a half ago. But this is a team that I'm curious to watch. I'm curious to see how the young players develop, what kind of roles they take on going forward, and it should be an exciting team offensively. That's all I got in this episode of the Power Play with CJ, Anaheim Ducks season preview. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.